Alright, so I mean, like you said, it does seem quite counterintuitive, but then much of fighting is, especially if you're doing it properly, yeah? It's going to require a lot of forward movement. You know, there's some saying, I heard somewhere, the defining characteristic of a warrior is his willingness to close with the enemy. You know, and this is with regards to large-scale warfare, you know, on the battlefield, but exact same thing is true for individual combat, isn't it?
Someone if you keep them a distance.
That's it, unless you have one of these. So that's the thing. He wants you to maintain that distance, and intuitively you want to turn away. And same with knives, hammers, any sort of weapon, even a barrage of punches. Unfortunately, it's that very instinct that we have to do this, which is what gets a lot of people killed, because there's nothing that says that that person has to stop once you curl into a ball, you know. So it's quite counterintuitive, and that's why we have to drill this sort of stuff over and over. And this particular training up against weapons, there's a different psychological element there of added danger, a bit more fear. So if you can do it against this, it becomes easier against somebody throwing strikes like this. So it's all well and good closing with the enemy, but what do you do once you get there, yeah? So standard techniques, unfortunately, it's often taught as techniques of trapping and securing the weapon. So he goes for that swing, I come in, and then depending on what angle he come out, okay, so he came in at an angle 2, so I have to do this disarm here like this, or if he comes in at a lower angle, it becomes, oh, I come this way and trap it this way. You'll never ever be able to really gauge that, especially when he's coming in at any angle he wants, and repeating strikes as well, bringing them back as fast as he goes in with a two-handed swing, like this. You try and catch that. In fact, that's how I got my forearm fractured, is by trying to do an arm wrap deliberately. I was trying to consciously intercept this fucking thing coming at me, and it caught like this. So instead, once we've achieved this chest to chest from here, and we've taken the charge out of his swing there like that, from here, it makes sense to trap the weapon in some way, and you will do it instinctively, almost guaranteed, and it will almost always look like this, an arm wrap trap. But we don't want to think of this in terms of technique. Instead, it's conceptual. This is trapping, okay? It might be like this. It might even manifest more just like this, just on his arm. It could also just be here. Not so great, because I don't have control over that weapon itself, but again, at this range, I'm much more dangerous to him than he is to me with that thing. And luckily, a lot of people will cling to that thing. There's nothing to say they have to. If they're clever, they'll drop that and transition to something else, or use the offhand. That's the other thing a lot of people don't take into consideration. Okay, they sort of trap the hand here, and they forget about this thing, yeah? So we want to tie them up and trap it. Now, like I said, it can manifest in different ways. The best ones will involve the whole arm wrapping around like this. This is very secure, yeah? It might just be a hands-on type of thing. And of course, if you can come in back, sort of swing. And again, same thing, yeah? But we want to get really close as possible. So it's going to be different almost every time. You can also come straight down. So again, that's going to look different again, isn't it? I have to break through here, and now I've trapped him, but now I've got the whole body, yeah? And he still can't swing, but I'm not thinking about this weapon. A lot of people, what they want to do once they get to this phase in the defense is disarm the weapon. And there's like 100 different ways, apparently, to do this when people let you do it. From here, you know, different ways to break this out of his grip and stuff like that. The way to snake it out this way, and you can even give it back to him. You can take it off him and hit him with it. Why would I want to take the weapon out of his hand here? Can anyone tell me?
Why would you want to?
Why would I want to take that out of his hand?
So
he can't hit me anymore.
Well, with the stick.
With the stick. But then what?
Hit him with his hands.
So then what do? Disarm his hand?
hit him, knock him out.
Yeah.
Kick him.
So why didn't I do that in the
Before disarming us.
Yeah. I'll tell you a really good way to get people to drop sticks is to make them go to sleep. Yeah? When somebody's unconscious, they're dropping that stick. That's the disarm. Disarm him. disarm the threat entirely rather than worry about this stick. And I know it looks really cool to take the stick off somebody and then to be able to use it against him. But now, what's wrong with this picture?
Will you, if the police turn up?
It's legally, this is an issue. I know a minute ago he was trying to do the same to me. And so maybe you could, argue your way out of this, but still, you're bringing on some potential, there's something wrong here, isn't there, as a defender? Where do I stop? And one good crack, So, we don't worry about this. So, when we do trap the weapon, we're going to look at this slightly differently. We need a psychological shift here, yeah? The way I'm looking at this trap is I'm not doing this as a means of stopping him from hitting me with the stick. That's not my primary goal here, because that in itself is purely defensive, isn't it? And once you go down that road, you're only a few steps away from thinking, oh man, shit man, he's got a stick, oh please don't hit me with the stick, oh fuck. Yeah? Because it's purely defensive, there's nothing aggressive in there, that's not violent enough for me. I don't think that's going to do the job. So for me, when he goes for a swing, I'm trapping this because I need him to stay still while I deliver some impact to his head. Stay still while I give you some of this. Yeah? Comes in with a backhand. This is always a good example because I can get both hands like this. Rather than being purely defensive, aha, now you can't hit me anymore. Instead it's right, you stay there. Bam, bam, and I'll do some of these until he's down. So it's purely aggressive now. It's a means of keeping somebody still while you hit them. It's a controlling method, and again, in some way it could be indexing because you have reference, it's so close you don't have to worry about that, yep? Okay, so does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah? You're closing the gap whilst protecting your head. You can see it in phases if you want. Protect the head, close the gap, trap the weapon. But when we say trap, it's not just trapping that stick. Make sure he can't do that anymore. Trap the man, make sure he can't get away for what you're about to do to him.